Well, the new supply and demand report took some of the pop out of the corn and soybean markets. Higher than expected yield estimates are pressuring prices. Also looking at the markets, the farm gate price for milk are going nowhere right now. Analysis coming up. Prices slip at the pond bank for farm-raised catfish in the U.S., and large supplies continue to hold back the wheat market. While cheese demand is strong and getting stronger with the approaching holidays, it's not quite enough to put a dent in the glut of milk now in the dairy sector this fall. Naomi Bloom says the milk market can't seem to catch a break.
There's so much supply out there, and our overall milk dairy exports, it's up 2%, but we've got no problems with production. So you're going to see the deferred contracts continue to struggle for right now, probably stay between the $15, $16 level, and sit and wait to see how exports are and how cheese is going into the holidays.
In aquaculture, prices slip, and the latest catfish summary for the U.S. Producers received a pond bank price of $1.06 per pound for premium size live fish. That is a drop of 16 cents per pound from 1 year ago. Farm sales were 28 million pounds round weight, down 6% from fall 2016. Processor sales did pick up and increased a touch over 6%. Well, from fish to hogs now to complete our livestock swing. The trade expects U.S. pork production to continue to expand until we make the turn into 2018. Analyst Ted Seifert said prices are expected to soften a bit at the same time.
It's been really choppy up here. I don't like that sort of volatility when you're at an extreme. A lot of times that can be indicative of topping or bottoming. And while domestic demand has been pretty good, if we're not following that up with some really stellar exports, which we had seen a few weeks of, but we'll see what happens. I mean, if the dollar starts to come back and we can have more hope for exports again, that might breathe new life into things. And, you know, if the domestic market's competing with that and cash stays strong, then there could still be some upside. And you know the speculators like to, you know, want to trade that trend.
Time now to look at our trivia quiz for this week on Farm Week. Our question is appropriate with Thanksgiving approaching, and here it is. What is the top turkey producing state in America? Is the answer Arkansas, North Carolina, Minnesota, or Virginia? We'll have that answer coming up for you. On the row crop side of the markets, it may take a while before wheat has any reason to rally. Extension economist Brian Williams gives us some background on the situation. What is the progress on winter wheat planting in Mississippi?
Well, the latest USDA numbers have us at about 31% of the state's wheat crop planted. Those numbers are about a week old, so kind of given the weather that we've seen the last week or so, I'd guess it's probably closer to between 40 and 45%, which is slightly behind where the 5-year average is, but really not far enough behind to throw up any red flags or concerns.
Some viewers may be wondering, is it the soft red winter wheat or the hard red winter wheat markets that are more interest to this state?
So producers in Mississippi and really the eastern half of the U.S. are more interested in the soft red winter wheat. It's grown basically from Iowa on east in the U.S. And then the hard red winter wheat is kind of grown in the plains from Texas up through South Dakota and even parts of North Dakota.
And both of those are traded in Chicago, Minneapolis, and Kansas City.
Yeah, so in Kansas City is where we're seeing the hard red winter wheat traded. Chicago is where we see the soft red winter wheat, which is what producers here are more interested in. That's where that's traded. And then Minneapolis, we see a lot of our spring wheats and the Durham wheat that's grown up north. That's traded in Minneapolis.
Well, as we get into mid-November here, is this market looking better or worse from where it has been?
Not a whole lot better. We're actually down from the early to mid-July highs. We're down quite a bit from there. We've seen it bounce back a little bit over the last week or so, but right now the markets are just real weak. There's a whole lot of wheat on the global scene that's really keeping a lid on it.
So what about U.S. export business? Is that up or down?
Exports really haven't been all that great either, and it comes back to the large global supplies. U.S. is actually not the largest supplier of wheat in the world. There's several other countries that compete there as well, and we're just seeing large supplies on a global level, which is making that market real competitive.
So in a rather uncertain wheat market, what kind of strategy might a producer employ?
Well, the big thing that I'd mention is know your costs. For producers to know their costs and keep an eye on the markets. If it looks like wheat's going to bump up above where they can break even, then they need to think about at least marketing part of their crop. But the most important thing is trying to break even at least.
And back to our trivia quiz now as we close out things in the markets. Our question again, what is the top turkey producing state? Well, our answer this week is C, Minnesota. Minnesota produces about 49 million birds each year.